A symphony hall is a lot more than just a building in a city. It is like the art museum in Seattle, the center post of cultural life, and it puts the orchestra in that position. And if we built a great one, beautiful one with good acoustics, it would be a monument as the city grew. The idea was that this great city, or what was becoming a great city, had one large concert hall, the Opera House, shared by the ballet, the symphony, and the opera. And world music and any other big events that would be produced there. It had a great limitation on what we were able to do. And each of us were showing some signs of artistic life and growth, but we couldn't grow because there were no dates available. The old Opera House had a very diffused sound, which means there was very little direct sound. There were rounded walls. There weren't flat surfaces. It was too wide. It was wonderful for recording, but for concerts, you sit here and you couldn't hear the triangle. You sit here and the triangle covered the whole orchestra. There were real issues. And we had to play very loud. To project at all into the hall, everybody, had to basically blast, to be heard.
Well, in my first year or so as chair, I was focused in just writing the finances of the organization. And there had been studies about the hall. There were preliminary designs by LM&N. And Gerard Schwartz was aggressively pursuing getting a symphony hall launched. And I was hoping we could get our basic budget in place and get ourselves in a black numbers kind of a situation before we started raising funds for the hall.
And then Deborah Rutter, then was Deborah Card. Deborah Rutter became our executive director, and she came into a situation where basically she had no idea how difficult the finances were. And at the same time, we're talking about a new hall when, in fact, we can't balance the budget. And she was genius at this. She was incredible. A brilliant woman, a tremendous business person, an artistic person.
The relationship between Jerry Schwartz and Jack Benaroya helped galvanize that project and gave people a lot of confidence. To have that seed money of $15 million in place was like a launching spot for getting people excited.
It all started with an article that Melinda Bargren had written in the paper about how the Symphony needing a hall. So he called Jerry and asked if we could meet for lunch. He wanted to talk to him about something. He didn't tell him. So over lunch he discussed a symphony hall. Is it feasible? What would it take? 12, 15 million? And Jerry immediately picked up the 15 million number to get it off the ground. And that's how it all started.
As soon as he said he was willing to make a major contribution, then everybody's wheels started turning. Is it possible? Could it happen? Would it happen? More feasibility studies. Where would it be? Seattle Center was the property that was given to us by the Carl-Scheimer Foundation, but there were those of us who really wanted it to be downtown. That was a big problem because a lot of people didn't like downtown. They thought it was dangerous. They thought the Seattle Center was the cultural hub.
Well, there were people associated with city government and people developing sites downtown that thought it would lead the development and redevelopment of the core area, which it did. There were opposing people who wanted the hall to be at Seattle Center, but there was a fair amount of tension over where it went. And then another challenge was getting city support for this site. And it was nip and tuck with the city council. And I remember Norm Rice, the mayor, and Sue Donaldson, and Jane Noland, all really big supporters. And there was a lot of tension over what kind of a role the city should play, and was it worth taking a valuable block to turn it into a concert hall? And would the concert hall really pay for itself in the city? And obviously, those people that were for it really made right decisions.
And then it really began.
It really felt like walking into a sacred space. And you're kind of like pinching yourself, like, is this really ours now? Am I going to be on this concert hall every day? So that was really exciting.
The first piece we did was the Firebird. And it's interesting because it begins with this extremely soft cello bass. Really soft. And to play that soft, the cellos would play hardly moving the bow. And the bass would play pits. And some of them arco too. And the sound, it was so soft, and yet it was clear and audible. I mean, I got a chill just thinking about that moment of hearing Stravinsky being played as the first notes in our hall.
And Jack had tears in his eyes. No words. Yeah, it was very emotional.
I felt this would be the turning point for the orchestra in terms of the audience, in terms of fundraising, in terms of the repertoire we were able to play, in terms of our fame, in terms of the way we could impact with the community.
I think there's no doubt that the city is more vital. It's given a place back when it was first built, a reason to be downtown, and a reason to come out to go to dinner downtown. And it has really sparked the revitalization of the core of the city.
I knew coming here that the hall was a big magnet for me, orchestra of course, but it was already world famous for being so outstanding. So, the recognition and the fact that we can really be embracing now this position of becoming so much in the spotlight is really the reward of those 7 years, plus the 100 and so beforehand. And this is why I didn't want to pass on this opportunity tonight to be with you for 2 minutes to thank the people that have been really responsible and visionaries for that. And of course that includes Gerald Schwartz, who I want to extend my gratitude and admiration, and also to all the leaders at the time of this organization, and of course visionaries like the Benaroya family and more. We know it took the support of many people in Seattle to make that happen. But the vision is always the seed that we are all inspired by, and I'd like to recognize that today. I'm just one of the very lucky beneficiary of all those that had been put in place, to build this magnificent temple of music.
And it was just a magic time. It was a magic thing to be part of. And as I look back at it now from 25 years later and 20 years after the opening, I think it's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. It's the most important thing in my life other than my family. And it's just something that I marveled that I was fortunate enough to be involved with.
Yeah, I feel very lucky. And I mean, big thanks to our community. and to Jerry Schwartz for his vision and pulling it off. That was a great gift to the city and to Seattle Symphony.
So as a businessman, he would feel that was a very good move. And but most of all, I think he'd be very happy sitting in the concert hall listening to the beautiful music and probably thinking, I did a good thing.